Yeah, give it up for the Vancouver Canucks, baby. Let's go. You know, I was kind of disappointed that there was no post-game coverage of this game on Sportsnet. They kind of switched over to the Columbus-Washington game like immediately after the Canucks broadcast was over. But the Vancouver Canucks against the Winnipeg Jets ended up losing 7-4. And this is a game where the Canucks actually had themselves a pretty good comeback attempt. Heck, make that 2 comeback attempts. This one starts off because Kyle Connor gets 2 goals in the span of just over a minute in the first period. The Canucks then respond with their own 2 goals in the span of about 2 minutes to end off the first tied 2-2. The Jets then get 2 goals in the span of another 2 minutes in the second, making it 4-2, and then the Canucks get 2 goals in the span of another 2 minutes, making it 4-4. Although the Winnipeg Jets come out here and get themselves the final 3 goals, making it 7-4, Vancouver had 2 multi-goal comeback tying scenarios in order to make this game the way that it was, but ultimately they lose in regulation, and this is another one of these best case scenario games. You have yourselves a Bo Horvat goal. Good to see him getting out there on the board as always. His 29th goal on the season. His career high is 31. And he's 2 away from doing that this season with still half the year to go. How in the world is Bo Horvat at 29 freaking goals on the season? You had yourselves an Elias Pettersson point, and that one was very much rewarded to him because he was such a beast in this game pretty much. I mean, okay, aside from the Kyle Connor hat-trick goal, but Pettersson did so much good in this game, you can't really go out there and blame the guy for any of that. The stories of today's game, though, you had yourselves multiple points out of guys like JT Miller. He had himself 3 on the night, I'm pretty sure. You also had the goaltending stuff with Colin Delia, who started this game and eventually got pulled, because not only were the goals that he allowed kind of just bad looks on him, but they were also bad looks on the team as a whole, because multiple of these goals, 2-on-1 rushes, 3-on-2 rushes, scenarios where somebody pinches in the Jet zone and nobody covers. You had an OEL pinch that was not compensated for, Tyler Myers being the last man back on a 2-on-1. You would like a save from your goaltender in these situations, but at the same time, you can't expect a goalie to make all the saves when you're giving up odd man rushes left, right, and center, especially when one of them is short-handed. Neither Spencer Martin nor Colin Delia played well today, I would think, just based off of the types of goals that were getting past them. Colin Delia, especially on that Ehlers goal, where Ehlers wraps around on the far side on the perimeter pretty much, and he just whips it on goal. Delia doesn't even move. It was really not great. The Morgan Barron goal that was set up by Adam Lowry after Lowry got a breakaway, there was no Canuck in front that was guarding Barron. Myers and I believe it was Dermott just leave their checks unscathed. It was not good. The coverage in this one, you could tell the Canucks were mostly focused on offense with all the pinching and the admittedly good offensive play and zone time that they had. Sure, there were some opportunities that they kind of whiffed on. Brock Besser in tight on the power play went way too high and completely missed the net entirely. You had a few other chances that could have gone. Pettersson looked really good. He had a post as well, I believe. But at the end of the day, the Canucks dropped this one in a manner where it's like, okay, if you're going to play like that, you didn't really deserve to win the game anyway. The right team won here, even though the Canucks had themselves a boatload of opportunities to take the lead. They didn't do that, though. Even after tying the game up 2-2 and eventually 4-4, this team gets another regulation loss, and their Connor Bedard sweepstake record is a lot better for it. Now, we've got a little bit more time left in this gameplay. Why not go over the goals, I guess? Kyle Connor, first goal of the game, 6 minutes and 22 seconds in. Really great passing play by the Jets. Ehlers drops it back to Dubois, who goes over to Ehlers once again, and then cross-crease over to Connor for the goal. The Canucks actually scored on the very next shift. It was Ilya Mikheyev who slid 5-hole on big save Dave Rittich, but this was called back for offside as Bo Horvat stumbled and lost his footing. The next goal, though, also scored by Kyle Connor, a 2-on-1 chance where OEL pinched in and nobody covered for him, so yeah, Kyle Connor goes 5-hole on Delia, it's not good. To his credit, though, Delia did make an amazing stop on Connor a few shifts later, where Connor is on the doorstep, the puck gets thrown on goal, and Delia has to sprawl out to keep the puck out and make sure that Connor doesn't get that first period natural hat trick, as it's still 2-0 at this point. The Canucks then get a break themselves. It's Elias Pettersson who razzle-dazzle spins across the blue line and around his check. Eventually the shot goes into the corner, Kuzmenko drops it off, Petey shoves it on goal, and Miller is there to bury the rebound, making it 2-1. You give it a few more minutes, and eventually it's Luke Schenn at the Winnipeg blue line who throws a long shot on goal, and it gets tipped in by Studnicka. Very nice play. It's actually Curtis Lazar who's the reason this play even happens, because he hits Jonsson Fjallby behind the goal line, frees the puck up, which is how Dakota Joshua is able to feed it back over to Schenn. Second period gets underway, and this is where the Jets get 2 goals. It's the Ehlers shot that we talked about, where he spins around on the perimeter and Delia doesn't even react. The next one was that Morgan Barron goal where nobody picks up the check, and it's an open net tap-in for Barron. Then the Canucks strike back. You have yourselves 2 more goals to make things interesting. It's the Bo Horvat snipe where he pinpoints the corner. Just a beautiful shot. You could hear the ping and everything. It's a very great play by Bo. And then you have yourselves the other chance. This is actually JT Miller on the boards who sends it in front, and it's Sheldon Dries who tips it up and over the shoulder of Big Save Dave while on the power play. Even though the Canucks tied things up 4-4, though, it's Axel Jonsson Fjallby who gets the last laugh, making it 5-4 towards the end of the second period. It's a pass from Sam Gagner. Jonsson Fjallby comes right in, and he takes a shot that goes through Luke Schenn's legs and up high over Spencer Martin, who had been put into this game in relief of Colin Delia. It's 5-4 at the end of the second. Start of the third, this is where things go wrong. The Canucks give up another odd man rush shorthanded. It's 3-on-1, 3-on-2 sorta, and it's Dylan DeMelo who snipes it home. The guy doesn't score often, and so when he does, of course, it has to be a shorthanded goal against Vancouver, where it's another play where all the guys are pinching in and nobody's really coming back to defend. Shorthanded goals, dude, why does this team always surrender them? It's uncanny how bad their power play is when it comes to giving up shorthanded goals. Sure, their percentage may be somewhere in the top 10 in the NHL or whatever, but I believe the team is number 1 in the NHL for shorthanded goals against. And that's a bad thing, not in a good way, they're first in terms of goals allowed shorthanded, which means they allowed a lot. Then you have yourselves the Connor hat trick at the end of the game. It's a Pettersson turnover behind the goal where the Jets guy sends it out in front. Honestly, a pretty fickle game in terms of its entertainment value because of all the comebacks and the multi-goal stints for both teams. Winnipeg is a good team this year, so the Canucks going out there and losing this one in the way that they did, especially with all the additions to that Jets lineup over the past few days, it is not really all too surprising. But at the end of the day, that Connor Bedard tank, you talk about the Bo Horvat goal, the PD points, Miller getting points, Kuzmenko getting points, and the team still losing in regulation. That is something that I think a lot of fans can agree on is sort of the best case scenario. Unless, of course, you're of the mind that the Canucks should still be trying to go for the playoffs, which in that case, I think if you're still on that boat, you're probably not going to get off of it anytime soon. So, talk to the comments on your thoughts about this Canucks and Jets game. They lose again, 7-4. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 9, and bye.